Hello everybody. If you are an American, you know what today is. It's 9/11. This is the 20th anniversary of the day when two planes hit the World Trade Center. One hit the Pentagon, and another was taken back from the terrorists by the passengers before it could actually reach its destination. There is no shortage of things you can learn about this day. It basically happened because a dude named Osama bin Laden and a bunch of other people who somehow 20 years later we still have not tried yet orchestrated this terrible attack, and you can still learn. I'm still learning stuff about it to this very day. But if you're an American Christian, you may find yourself heckled by atheists or other people who maybe hate America, who say, well, if a good God exists, why did something so terrible happen? This is basically the shortened pseudo version of the argument from evil, even though the actual argument is a bit more complicated than bad things happen, therefore no God. But you know what? I feel that as Christians, sometimes we may try to respond to the argument from evil a little bit overthinking it. Now, what I am about to say, I have never heard anyone else say, meaning either A, it is super brilliant and no one else has ever thought of it, or B, it's incredibly stupid and I'm about to embarrass myself. I'm sure you will all let me know what you think was the case. But during a debate, I can't remember necessarily what who, Christopher Hitchens brought up how he did not believe that God was necessary for morality, and that he had once read a book in which people discovered Jesus' body still in the tomb, proving he never risen, and this super religious society pretty much gave up on morality. They turned anarchical. All terrible things, murder, rape, theft, all these things suddenly just became morally acceptable. And I think he was using this to basically argue, hey, this stuff would still be morally unacceptable, even if Jesus Christ didn't rise. Not really sure how thorough his idea or interpretation of that book is, but we now know two things. The first thing is why Christopher Hitchens always looks so miserable. I mean, have you seen his reading material? Second is, we have to now ponder, even if this nightmare scenario, not even just 9/11, but terrible, terrible things. Like, I'm a historian. I can tell you scary stories that would definitely keep you up at night. Rob Zombie could use me as inspiration. But does any of this mean that we should disregard a belief in an all-knowing, all-powerful, and loving God? Ladies and gentlemen, here's my own response to the argument from evil. The response being that even if terrible, terrible, awful, bad things happen, it is of no comfort to sit here and think, oh, well, there must not be a God then. Because let me take one of the most horrific examples of human depravity in history, the Holocaust. Let's say that happened, and it did. Let's say that happens and there is no God. What does this mean? It means essentially it's over. The Nazis who escaped and have not been tried, or they got away with it, they will never face justice. The people in the Holocaust who were shoved into ovens and gas chambers, that is the last thing they will ever know. They will never feel comfort or happiness or joy ever again. The image of having the skin seared off or being suffocated with poison gas, that is it. That is all they ever got to experience in their last moments. Now, let me turn this. Let's say the Holocaust happened, and there is a God. Well, what does this mean? This means no Nazi criminals are escaping justice. They're gonna die. And they will all get the justice they deserve. The people in the gas chambers who were suffocated and ovens who were burned to death, that wasn't the end for them. They did get to experience joy. Well, I don't exactly dictate who goes to heaven here. I can't say that just simply being killed horrendously grants you guaranteed access into heaven. But those people, at the very least, will never have to experience that ever again. Because if they were good people, they get heaven. They get to be united with their family members. They get to, experience joy and love again. So of these two scenarios, if I told you something terrible happened, scenario A has no God, scenario B has a God, in particular we're talking about the Judeo-Christian God here, which would you prefer? Now logically, it only makes sense to pick option B. Now some of you may say, well, Trey, I don't like the idea that an all-knowing, all-powerful, loving God would allow this to happen. To which I would say, get in line. You're not the only person who ever suffered in their life. But it seems like the perfect dream scenario of getting heaven on earth. I'm afraid we're fresh out of that today, ladies and gentlemen. You have one or two other options. And just because you can't get the best option does not mean you should reduce yourself to the worst option. It would be like losing one of your legs and then cutting off your other leg in protest of losing your other leg. Just doesn't make any sense. See, I understand, because you guys may know that I've had bad things happen to me too. But it's of no good and of no comfort to sit here and think, well, there is now no God because this bad thing happened to me. If anything, that would just hurt you even more. Now, some of you may realize I am appealing to emotion here, not necessarily diving into why this would be the case, or why this, why that, why allow this. And there's two reasons for that. One, because to dive into it and ask why God will allow this to happen, we're never going to know. When it comes to, it will always be something as simple as saying, well, God has a good reason for it. And pretty much that's as far as we could bother to go. Now, the other reason is that when atheists present the argument from evil, they are appealing to emotion. Whenever you hear an atheist bring up, oh, rape, murder, child molestation, there's a reason they pick those things instead of, oh, I woke up and stubbed my toe. They are trying to use horrific imagery to impact you emotionally. And I just wanted to make this video to show how just because bad things happen, it doesn't mean that you should give up your belief in God. It certainly doesn't mean that there is no God. But all in all, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say happy 9/11, but it is 9/11. This is a day of memory, grieving, and a pretty solemn day. So I wanted to make this video to sort of tie in with the theme of this channel, because this day does deserve a mention. I did it last year, here I am doing it this year again. Well, the Saturday Apologetics video still has yet to come. Stick around, you're going to like what you see, I guarantee it.